Hi, this is Mabel. This is a level that I worked on for a level design bootcamp. Um, and I'm just going to do a little fly through to show my sort of uh, walkthrough of the game and my thought process. My goal was to make a basically chase sequence where a monster similar to Creature from the Black Lagoon or Shape of Water sort of aquatic humanoid creature escapes from a mad scientist's mansion atop a hill on a harbor city and must sort of run through the city, escaping both the scientists and police that are chasing them. Here we start, and I just sort of wanted to make sure that the player was able to, interact with objects. Um, so I make sure that they're able to essentially get out using a closed window that can become open if the player clicks on it, as well as a plank that moves from one spot to the other if the player clicks on it. I sort of have a skill test here where the player has to run along roofs. If the player falls, they have to go to this stairs and go to basically this lower terrace. Once the player falls, they can't get back up to this rooftop up here, and basically they have just like a better view of the city if they are able to jump from this location to this terrace roof. As the player continues, uh, I plan to have a sort of moment of like, oh, I can escape out here, and then sort of switch that up on the player by having them fall down instead. I've made this roof just a little bit too steep for the player to fully get up onto. So every time the player basically slides out into off into this patio door, um, and that sort of gives the player a switch up where they think they're going here, and then they end up going onto this patio. They then have to go through this building, jump through windows. A big goal for me was just to have a bunch of different types of traversal because I wanted to sort of exercise that muscle of sort of giving the player a lot of different scenarios to manage. So we have jumping from rooftop to rooftop, jumping from rooftop and falling, jumping from window to window, using planks to traverse. Uh, in here, I plan to put sort of scared civilians. These are sort of just placeholders for those scared civilians, just being like, ah, there's a monster. And then I have a zipline animation right here, which lets the player go from this point to this point. And I use flowers basically throughout the level, kind of as a guiding point for the player to let them know that they're on the right path. But also, I want to sort of add a narrative element where the player can eventually pick them up and sort of have a little narrative comment about like what they think of the player or what they think of the flower. Um, Player then goes through here and down this ladder, another different form of traversal. And finally, this is sort of a break point within the level to give the player a sense of breathing room. I've sort of shielded it off from everything, so no AI can get in here. The AI enemies that the player learns about in one of this rooms. So basically, like as the player first sees these sort of enemies, they're immediately able to like take a breather and look at this other flower before they head back out into the world. Um, and yeah, this is sort of where the name of the game comes from. It's Free Lilly, which is sort of a play on words of Free Willy. And I decided to have the character halfway through see a peace lily and decide, oh, that's a nice name. And because you're freeing an aquatic creature, I just thought it was fun. Player then goes through here, immediately sees two guards about to attack them, and has to run straight forward down into the lower section of the city. I wanted to make this whole area a bit more crowded, a bit more developed and industrial. Um, so I'm trying to put like little shops in here. This is basically a little shop. And in here, I basically just want to have the player like run through a bunch of alleyways, feeling like crowded out. Like each turn they take, they see a new guard that sees them, and then they start getting chased by all these different guards until eventually they get cornered and have to escape through the sewer. So they come out here, see a guard, run this way, see another guard, run this way, see another guard, run this way. Future plans is to have these two sort of cop cars turn up on, or drive up on, like right on the player, or close to the player when they reach like this point right here. So it's sort of like a, oh hey, here's the lighthouse, and then two cop cars come out and force the player to turn under this little tunnel here. And then finally, all these different guards are crowding in on them and have to escape through the sewer, which takes them over here. Then the player gets another little flower reward. And then the mad scientist that was knocking on the door at the beginning will essentially come out and start attacking the player or start chasing them. The player has to run through here. And I just wanted to put in some parkour elements. I was specifically inspired by a scene in, I believe it's Casino Royale from James Bond. So he sort of has to run through Italian sewers and Italian streets while like a run of the bulls is going on. It's very interesting. Um, and then finally, the player gets sort of a moment of like, oh, I made it. And then the cooldown comes here, where the player gets this very nice vista and then walks around the pier to the dock and is able to jump into the water. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this sort of gave a sense of my design goals and process for this project. Thank you.